Welcome very much to Conversation. A pleasure to welcome to the program a guy I hardly know, but we have known each other for 40 years or so, I think. That's Frank Craven of the famous theatrical family, the Craven family. He's a friend of mine from way back when, a friend of the world, a great guy, artist, poet, filmmaker, has a program, WAHA, What's Ailing and Healing America, that's here on Manhattan Network, does great editing in that. And Frank, and he's also a friend and a supporter of Jerome Johnson, who we did a program that aired a couple days ago. Great guy with solar energy.
Yeah, Jerome's a very nice gentleman.
So welcome, my brother.
Thank you.
It looks like you're going to grow a beard. Are you going to grow a beard?
Yeah, I'm looking to grow. I got my hair going on because I was playing in Rock and Roll Project, Martin Scorsese, and also Ricky in the Flash.
You look like
regular.
you look like is that Clooney guy.
I like long hair. I used to have long hair for many years.
You're long hair, right?
Yeah,
must be
it's a native way.
Is that real? Is it real? It is real.
You can borrow some if you like.
I could use all I can get. I can tell you. Look at this. This is like.
Well, you're a hippie from way back in New Paltz.
Well,
you went to the original Woodstock.
Yes, I was there. Yeah, we were there.
And you were a progressive professor in New Paltz. Gave everyone an A, right?
It's hard to put a definition of what a progressive is in a certain
Well, a
sense.
hippie means you're hip to government corruption.
Well, that's one interpretation of it and everything, but yeah, I'm interested in a lot of different things. I'm a Bucky Fuller fan. I like Fuller.
We all
incidentally,
do.
Jerome loves Fuller, and he was a great, so that's good. Anyway, we did a program with him, and I would like to pick up on that. He's got, as you will recall, maybe we can recall from the program we did a couple of days ago, we're going to show some of your art.
Yeah, well,
but because,
everyone loves Buckminster Fuller.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, okay.
Everyone loves a man who's a genius with solutions to pollutions. Geodesic domes, streamlined buildings, recycled gray water, energy efficiency. This is what he wrote the book, Utopia or Oblivion.
Great book, yeah.
He understands, as did many people now today, understand that we have the power to make a win-win situation work.
Well, I'm wondering if they do it. I just came from today. I had a conversation with a fellow. I'm not so sure that people do realize that as well. But anyway, Jerome, he's a solar energy guy, and
right.
He's been apparently been getting a lot of grief from bureaucracy and so forth and everything.
Everyone gets bureaucratic grief. That's what government is. It's set up to be. To extract money like lawyers. Win or lose, they're going to get paid. You know, we don't even need government now. Unfortunately, it seems ridiculous to say that, but with the iPhone, we have an authentic tracking system that could really bring home the bacon as far as an authentic consensus vox populi vote on whatever it is. And we could just streamline government and bureaucracy to a real participatory reality versus this fantasy smoke and mirrors where we have these pseudo-representatives that are like multimillionaires out of touch with the working classes, the homeless, the immigrants, the students, the majority of our country that are in perpetual debt.
Yeah, well, they are, and then the people who the assets are all owned by a tiny group, very tiny group.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the game.
More concentrated.
Authority versus majority. It's like, they want to keep the haves versus the have-nots. Some people working in perpetual debt. This is the Machiavellian, nasty little Cesar Augusto. The grand scheme of kings versus peon. They pit two poor farmers at war with each other to keep the kingdom rich.
Divide and conquer is a theme like that?
Yeah,
you said something in Spanish. You said a word is seguro or something. You said some word in Spanish.
Well, yeah, I speak Spanish. I grew up in Spain, Barcelona.
I know. And you know Catalan.
Catalan.
You know Catalan, and there's a lot going on.
Catalonia is interesting because in 1714, in the year 1714, on September 11th, they lost their freedom to the monarchy, and they're the first Magna Carta, the first writ of habeas corpus in their parliament of Catalonia, surrounded in a monarchy.
I'll be damned, really.
And then September 11th, in 1973, the first socialist elected government of Latin America. Chile lost its to fascism, Pinochet and Kissinger and Nixon and whatnot.
Yeah.
And we too in America, September 11th, on that tragic morning, we lost our freedom because it wasn't Arabs that tore up our Bill of Rights. It was the neocon cabal that orchestrated this whole 9/11 scenario to boost their war budget and police state and perpetual war. Because I brought something to share with you.
Okay, careful, you're mic'd, you know. You got a wire, so think of it. Drag it over here. Something.
Now, obviously, getting back to solar power and what Jerome was about.
Yeah,
Germany has a slush fund. They're rich.
Germany, yeah, they're doing pretty well now in the
They
European
shut
Union.
down their nuclear power plants because of Fukushima.
What are you reaching for?
And they slapped solar panels everywhere.
You're not trying to get a fast, quick on the draw like a cowboy in the Western movies.
My friends in Spain have lost their money because they shut down the solar power industry. The oil companies are cranking on them, and so as a result, you know, they don't have money for unemployment or money. They're massive unemployment. But Germany's smart. And because of Fukushima, they put solar panels everywhere. And they, you know, we could pay 25 cents for the MTA in a subway instead of $3 almost. Because if we just work, every building going up could have gray water, recycled energy.
What's gray?
Turbines, solar panels.
What is gray water? I don't know what that is.
Used water.
Oh, used water. You call it gray water.
Recycled water, gravity. Geothermal. There's all kinds of wonderful stuff that Buckminster Fuller talked about, that Nikola Tesla talked about 100 years ago. His turbines underneath Niagara Falls are still spinning.
Maggie, my friend, told me that there's an electric bulb going somewhere out in California that's still going for 100 years.
Underneath Niagara Falls, thanks to Nikola Tesla. That's powering the grid. Upstate New York, in the Canadian side. Hello.
Well, anyway, he's a pioneer of solar energy, and solar energy is now coming on. I think it's. I was saying to him, I think it's the largest. You got some rail. You got a rail.
Yeah, I have something to share with you.
Oh, okay.
Well,
okay.
All right. Here's New York Times of last year, March 14th, 2014. Headlines: Solar panels warning on climate risk. Worst is to come. You don't argue with the New York Times. The waters are rising. And if you don't believe me, ask Sandy or Katrina or Irene. These massive storms that just came in, and that just July 2015 was the warmest summer on record.
A couple of days ago it was really hot. It was 97 degrees here in September. That was pretty high. I just had to suffer through that, and we all did. Yeah, but anyway, Jerome, back to Jerome. He's a scientist. He's a and you saw the thing. You take some heart, maybe. You know, the 144,000 people marched down Central Park West a few months ago in support of that.
Right,
you got Naomi
400,000. It was the biggest eco-friendly energy march.
It was 400,000?
According to...
well, it might be. I just didn't have it remembered
right.
right.
There was an endless stream of people from all across the country.
So that's support for the idea of solar energy, you know. And then you've also got other things. And it's probably the major issue that is informing the political process, the debate between the most important debate that's going to emerge is going to be on the question of global warming. It's becoming the major issue. Mr. Obama just went up to Alaska, and he's come out in support of it. And
but he gave ExxonMobil the right to drill in the Arctic Circle.
Well, I thought about that. Maybe they have to do that because, I thought about it.
Why would they have to do that?
Well,
protect nature.
Well, yeah, I know, but the thing is, Fuller was synergetic, and you have to be thinking about things in some sort of comprehensive term rather than reductionist.
Comprehensive?
Yeah, comprehensive.
No.
Well,
put the criminals in jail. ExxonMobil makes multi-billion-dollar profits quarterly, not annually, and they're they don't even pay taxes, and the most richest oil drilling company in the world that is actually destroying planet Earth, creating waste. Fossil fuels are over. It's time for eco-friendly
well, they're
energy.
not. I was just thinking that the same day that they were announcing that on the television, they had the news and everything. And there they were in California, and you got about as far as the eye can see these automobiles all running on gas, and you got all kinds of things.
So we switch it over.
The world, you don't switch over just like that. You don't do it. You can't do it like that. It can't be done that way. You know, so that to say you're going to switch over like that is just sort of being not responsible in any kind of way. They're probably going to need fossil fuel for quite a long time because we got such a commitment in terms of the world would come to a halt if we stopped fossil fuel tomorrow. You can't do that. You have to be relating to history and the institutions you're connected with. That's a lesson of statesmanship.
Harold, if I disagree with you, and I'm hitting you because I'm a madman, I have to stop at some point. I have to. I cannot beat you to death. Mother Earth is suffering.
Well,
she is suffering like never before on the point of view of the native people and the indigenous people and the reality. She's a living, breathing creature. And she's undergoing climate change, and she needs to have a break from this ongoing. Now, they think, oh yeah, we'll just extract all the oil and gas and then go move to alternative renewable energy. No.
Well, what are you going to do with all those cars on the
fluid?
If you're going to do it by Thursday next week, everything's going to be cerebral energy. What is going to happen to all those cars on the Los Angeles freeway? They are driving on gasoline. There's going to have to be gasoline, and what about the power stations and all the things that depend upon the fossil fuels? They are dependent. You can't just go overnight to something. He's made a thing to try and reach a certain goal by 2050, okay? But it's not going to happen by next week or next, so it's not directly relevant. It calls for statesmanship and liaisoning with history, and that's the way evolution and political and evolution works.
No,
it doesn't change overnight.
It's called economic pillaging, because we need our cervical fluid. Mother Earth needs her minerals, oils, and gas. The film industry changed very quickly. Everyone was hanging on tooth and nail to Panavision, but before you know it, everything's video, digital.
What's Panavision?
No, the old school filmmakers making movies with a film, reel to reel, and all the industry was saying, oh, jobs, no, don't change, no Kodak, keep the movies going. No. Before you know it, where everything's digital and changed in the film and media business, too bad. You either keep up with the Jones. Same with eco-friendly energy. And you know what? Volkswagen already has a car that runs 300 miles per gallon. We can easily go 100 miles per gallon versus 10 or 20 or 30 miles per gallon.
I'm just saying it can't happen next Thursday.
It
can't happen in the immediate. That's all.
It can,
it's going to have to
we
be
have the ingenuity to know how to spark the.
It can't happen by next Thursday.
Vapors.
You can't be there by next Thursday.
Well, I'm not saying.
No, you have to talk about how we're going to get there.
We'll make an.
So that's all I'm saying. You're talking with hyperbole.
No,
saying
I'm talking about jobs.
Okay.
FDR had the New Deal going forward.
He did, yeah.
And we had massive unemployment and problems, socioeconomic problems, and a depression in this country.
And we still do.
And we now again have a resurgence of massive unemployment and massive depression, and people begging for at least 15 an hour or 20 an hour versus a paltry $7 or $8 an hour.
Yeah, but you don't have anything like the 30s. Here now?
Oh, excuse me. Bloomberg left 58,000 homeless people in New York City alone. This criminal, this billionaire bum, takes off with all the money that's meant to circulate. We have money, and it's meant to make people happy and circulate so that everyone has a job and everyone's flourished, and the rags to riches American dream. Which is the name of the painting behind you. It's one of my artworks.
Yeah, that's one. Let me get out of the way. Maybe
it's okay.
I'm going to move over here. There, look, you can see it. Describe it. Talk to it.
Energy.
Talk to it.
Focus on
it's over my left shoulder, my right shoulder.
No, there you go. Yeah, it's a painting. It's a visual cue of the fact that we have the solution to pollution as Buckminster Fuller. If we would have followed Jimmy Carter's lead back in the 70s and Buckminster Fuller, we wouldn't be in the disaster we're in now by destroying Iraq and all this other stuff and the planet's pollution.
Okay, can I move back now?
Yes.
Okay, it's
please.
good. And then you got another one you can show. That's 10 Towers, and that's there. That's 2. Yeah.
Well, okay.
Well, we've had a number of talks like this, and everything. I just don't. I just think it's maybe a little too narrow to think that way, because what change are we going through, and what under what consideration are we going? What does that say?
It says arrest Bush.
Arrest Bush. Well,
Yeah, see, we got the criminal plane going this way and the air defense going that way.
Oh, you're
Never forget the pet goat.
pet goat he was reading.
This is the pet goat, the symbol of the devil.
Yeah.
They should have been whisked out immediately. All the schools were evacuated that morning. Now, I'm not any kind of conspiracy
You're talking
theorist.
9/11, yeah.
When I was 21, 22, I was a concrete inspector, steel inspector.
Were you? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Where? Oh, that's why you brought this
I brought this because, yeah,
beam
I
in.
worked for Pittsburgh Steel.
Uh-huh. Boy,
So
that's the
that's
real
a girder.
Yeah.
You know what? Steel doesn't melt. Here's fire. Hello? Concrete doesn't melt. It turns to lava, and steel smelts.
Well, it'll melt if you put it in a blast furnace.
The side girder's the size of as you and me,
Yeah.
covered in asbestos, comes down in 10 seconds.
Uh-huh.
Hello? That's not theory. That's reality. It's called physics.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Hello?
The world was made with steel. It took a long time to get steel. And there was a
although
whole
what's inside the
it took
engines of
decades.
cars? They burn up, they're steel. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know quite what to say because I don't quite know what you're saying.
I'm saying that the
modern world
towers,
couldn't have been
solid
built
steel
without
and concrete disappear in 10 seconds.
Yeah, but the modern world couldn't have been built without steel. It couldn't
I'm
have been
glad.
built without fossil fuels. It couldn't have been built with all of those things that you're saying are somehow inherently bad or something. It's
no,
just
I
a
didn't
historical
say bad.
context.
I said I was a steel and concrete inspector in construction
Oh, so
sites.
and you wanted to make a case about the Twin Towers, right?
That I want to make a case against the criminal cabal that keeps the oil company to roll over Iraq.
Okay.
And steal their oil and steal Mother Earth from them. You need your oils. You need your minerals. You're saying, oh, we can't change the infrastructure we've inherited like that.
You can't.
You can.
Well,
and you have to.
Well,
To survive. Planet Earth, like a human being, needs a cervical fluid, needs its energy. And we have free energy. Thank you, Nikola Tesla, for that, and Buckminster Fuller for explaining that, how we can work with geothermal, planetary motion, wind power, solar power, electromagnetics, ethers, air, and even the heated molecules below the surface of the clouds. Out in outer space, it's cold, and underneath in the air, there's heated molecules that bring out.
well, you're on board.
Tesla brought
you
out
think
energy.
it was 400,000? I think you're right. It was 400,000 marched down Central Park West.
The world knows it.
And it's the largest issue now being confronted by mankind. So it's pretty well known about global warming, don't you think? Yeah?
Yes,
and some
of
people
course.
want to deny it.
And there's solutions to pollutions.
Well,
Sweden's recycling its garbage. In Tennessee, you know, the gas is about $2.50 because they have ethanol. They harvest the sweetgrass, and from 500 gallons of ethanol out of 1 acre of grass. You know, you drive across the country, it's cheaper. We could have a lot of very good free energy if we applied working with nature, putting people to work.
where does it bound with nature and in terms of humanity? What's different between us and the rest of the environment, the rest of the reality?
Well, what do you mean? What reality?
Well, the reality of the universe, the realities, and the
the universe works in divine order, and everything's perfect, and there's a natural rhythm. Humanity.
They call natural law. There's a thing called
natural law. But we humans think too much. We have free will, but we have the will. We actually live in paradise. We live in where there's rainbows and freedom and joy and love. But we complicate it with false beliefs that the authority uses because it's material-minded and ego-minded.
Well, you have a set
religion, politics, and economics are created by men. They're artificial, and the kings and the neocon cabal keep war alive and promote Islamophobia now. Before it was communism, but then after '89, the Berlin Wall fell, so now they pump up the jihad and suicide bombers, but those are all traced back to entrapment scenarios by the FBI. And Mohammed never authorized suicide or killing of innocents. This is a complete construct by the Pentagon propaganda. Don't forget Donald Rumsfeld announced on September 10th, $2.3 trillion loss at the Department of Defense. And next thing you know, the Department of Defense investigation unit of accounting, 42 naval officers died. And the accounting department was shot to smithereens or torpedoed. A plane couldn't fit in there. There's no cadavers, no plane wreckage fuselage. This was an in-house agenda, just like a murderer comes there, shoots us all, and go and say, "Take me to the hospital." He went that way, you know.
I don't know quite what is this what you're talking about.
I'm talking about a self-inflicted wound on 9/11.
Oh, you're talking about 9/11.
Sympathy for the devil. This is a symbol of the devil. This is the devil. George Bush, Cheney, Wolfowitz are the devil. What is devil? Have you ever heard about Satanism and devil? It's the split between Lucifer and God, where you think you are God. You want to be God. But only God is God, creates everything and knows it is part of everything. The ego wants to be its own man and play God.
I take it you're not a Republican.
Well, no, Republican, Democrat. No. I'm not. I'm into. I led a panel at the Left Forum, and it wasn't about left versus right. It's right versus wrong.
Oh,
war is wrong. Torture is wrong. Pollution is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Bernie Sanders is our hero for the Republican Party and the Democratic Party.
You think he's a hero for the Republican Party?
Of course, because
Why?
Bernie Sanders is a stand-up guy who marched with Martin Luther King. He's a guy who's been a statesman in Congress and Senate throughout history, wagging his finger, looking to do the right thing for Vermont and for economic equality, social justice, penal code reform, women's rights, earth rights, farmers' rights, students' rights, justice. He's a guy that you can go to, and he's not taking corporate donations. Yet he's swelling in popularity at this time because of the fact that he's asking the real questions and answering and addressing the real issues.
What are the real issues then?
The real issues are the reality that has to be addressed, unlike a Donald Trump issue. I cut out of the newspaper. I couldn't believe it. Made me laugh. Donald Trump had an issue. Oh, what's that? That Bloomberg reported he's worth $2.9 billion, and he says he's worth $10 billion. To me, anyone who's a billionaire is a bum, is a cretin, is an immoral idiot who has no sense of sharing the water, the food, the wealth, the economics. The money is supposed to flow to create a healthy society, especially if you're going to be a statesman or a public servant. I mean, the private sector, okay, you can be really rich, but not so rich where you just take everything, take, and not give.
You don't think it's the progressives' fault for allowing that to happen?
No, it's not
progressives haven't come. The progressives,
mostly conservative.
The left hasn't come up with some sort of an explanation of what to do.
The left?
Yeah. The left has been like when you have an alcoholic, they're an enabler of the system that's in place.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Naomi Klein is very intelligent, and a lot of the indigenous perspective, the native people, the first voices have it clear about how to share. They've survived hundreds of thousands of years.
Well, now you're beginning to talk. Now you're beginning to talk anything other than the immediate politics of the moment and all that.
But
you're
the reality is 200,000 years or more, as we know it, Homo sapien erectus has stood its ground. This is the first people, the native people. And how do they survive? Because they share the goods and provisions amongst their tribe, and they look forward and they counsel the seventh generation going forward. As they say, we don't inherit the land from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children, our grandchildren. We must consult the future to survive as a tribe and as a people.
Well, you think that people who lived hunting and gathering before I guess about 190,000 years we were here. And when we came out of evolution, all the resources were here, all the oil, all the land, everything was here.
Yeah.
And we had a liaison with this new reflective consciousness that's called Homo sapien that was quite unique. And it was very unique that it appeared, and they had an ability to in its 200,000 years, as you say. Apparently, that's what they all say. We're all African, and
possibly. Maybe we're 200 million years. Who knows the history? But as far as
a lot of people know. What are you wanting to have? You want to make ignorant statements?
No. I want to. I'm saying in reality, science has now determined 200,000 years with carbon dating.
Is there any?
But that might be changed 20 years from now, and suddenly they've discovered a new fact. But my point is that regardless of what happened thousands of years ago, we have to look forward to survival and hopefully be here another 1,000, 2,000, 200,000 years more.
Yeah, but have you thought it through?
As a species.
Have you thought it through?
Human beings.
Has the left thought it through?
Left, schmeft. It's left and right. I need my left hand, I need my right hand.
Where is the thinking that's really relevant coming from? That's what I want to say.
Bernie Sanders.
Bernie Sanders is one guy.
It's liberal versus conservative, or left versus right.
It's right. Good versus wrong.
Right versus wrong.
Yeah, that's an absolute.
War is wrong. Killing is wrong.
Yeah.
Torture is wrong.
Why has there been so much
pollution is wrong?
Why has there been so much war? It's been the history of the human society.
Because the rich people,
as
like
always,
Mr. Bill Gates and Mr. Berlusconi and Bloomberg,
what about back in history?
Believe in population control.
What about back in history? You had Nebuchadnezzar, you had a pharaoh,
right.
You had a king in the time of Jesus.
Always, yeah.
Always you had a few people living well, so nothing's changed. You got some people living very well.
They want perpetual debt.
Yeah, they used to build
so they can have gold. They can eat as much as they want.
Right.
Because they're the king.
So there's nothing new. That's the way it is, except now it's bankers.
But that has to change.
No, what change?
It must change.
Well, it hasn't.
With me, it changes.
Why hasn't it changed in
With
200,000? No, why hasn't it? Why now? It hasn't changed in 200,000 years. What's different? What's going to make a change?
3 things
why
are different.
Is something different now than all of human history, or
things are different.
The history of the universe?
Because when we were kids, we had fantasies of thinking, oh, Dick Tracy could look at his watch and talk. Yeah. It was a comic book. Jules Verne and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Anything that was science fiction was fiction. It was fantasy. Now it's science fact. We have witnessed the change of this planet from a typewriter to an iPhone. And suddenly the dynamics of communication, where I can talk to Skype and immediately talk to Germany or Japan or Chile or South Africa, anywhere in the world, 10,000 miles away immediately.
Yeah, but what does it all add up to?
I can be a journalist
on
the street.
What does it all add up to? That's what I'm trying to say.
It adds up to immediate awareness that we're all connected and we're brothers and sisters of the same species. As John Glenn, when he came back from visiting the moon, said, hey, there's just one race, it's the human race. He
said that, but it was very uneven.
Well, it was
there was
slavery. To him
there was slavery.
There was slavery.
Yeah, but he came back and there was slavery in all kinds of countries. There was slavery, wage slavery. People were being made
today,
homeless.
All slavery
all of the
continues.
injustice and the concentration of the wealth and power was in a few hands, as always it has been. So what's different?
The difference is Occupy Wall Street, Arab Spring, the wake-up call. Throughout Spain and Europe, people are occupying the plazas and demanding their power. Tiananmen Square, June 4th in China.
What about the people?
People can stand up to the tanks, can stand up to authority and say, hey, you're supposed to serve me. You're a politician, and that means I pay your taxes, and you're supposed to serve the public.
Sparta's tried that. Remember?
No,
Sparta's tried that.
That's what the revolution's about in France and America 200 years ago and happening now. we're vibrating
200
in a
years
new
ago, we had chattel
frequency
slavery.
now.
We had slave ships. We had chattel slavery.
But not anymore.
No, but we
There's
did.
a wonderful
we still
play
do.
on Broadway called Amazing Grace. John Newton wrote the song where he had an epiphany, and he realized I cannot enslave people.
So, but we did just yesterday. Our fathers or grandfathers had slavery. They lived with slavery.
Right, but
chattel
now,
slavery next.
And
so
now
you're trying
we don't
to.
but now we have slavery in the penal colony with people in jail.
Prison. 2.5 million people in
Plus,
jail.
there's a lot of white slavery
country.
of sex slaves and women and stuff, and there's still abductions going on. There's barbaric idiocy going on.
Yeah.
But that
as there always has been.
Yeah,
That's the point I'm trying to say. It's always been as it's always been.
But that's completely barbaric.
Yeah, well,
primitive, savage behavior.
In terms of what you're trying to herald, it is a situation that has always been, and you're trying to say that there is a possibility of having something that is really just and really liberating at our time. And why would it be after 10,000 generations, it's only in our time that they might be able to have a world collective that is liberating of the whole human beings and have a qualitative transformation? What's different about our time?
3 things.
Okay, talk about them, if you got them.
There is, first of all,
you rest bush. Yeah.
Extraterrestrial contact that's been proven over and over. Hathors, Syrians, Pleiadians, Orions, benevolent, spiritually connected wisdom keepers who observe us like Star Trek and do not intervene. Then there's the proof of the reality of the Greys, the Reticulians, the reptilians, and those that have already intervened and are in part of the infrastructure of the government and destroying mankind and treating us like a subspecies. Now, we see this in crop circles. We see this in countless reports throughout the world of UFOs, and there's lots of books and symposiums, and there's a TV show in Mexico, John Mazan. I've seen a lot of it. Also in Oaxaca, you can see orbs going like this at right angles, and people left, right, and center are saying, oh, my God. You know, and we have extraterrestrial contact, which we've always had, but because there's Zachariah Sitchin wrote about it, and it's way back in the cuneiform tablets. But what we have now is an awareness of it and an and a communication. So we have an intergalactic communication going on. We have a cosmology and spirituality and a physics. As Greg Bradner, a scientist at NASA, has given TED Talks and things, is communicating and Deepak Chopra and many great scientists and people that there's now a marriage of spirituality and science, where the spatial difference between the neutrino and the proton electron was always a gray matter or a dark matter, and now they know it's a bonding nexus that is actually a true, even though it's transparent and invisible, is actually a very valid matter that even though we haven't put a complete comprehensive scientific label on it, we do understand that this is a bonding nexus pattern that brings the planets in constant orbit and brings the atoms into an infrastructure that maintains their
You
reality.
think we need a context of having context with this higher order that you're saying and so forth that's being postulated and believed and everything? We've always had various incantations of God and so forth by the various people. And we need that in order to be able to understand the reality in which we live. We can't understand it just in its own terms scientifically. You have to go to
Switzerland, there's the CERN machine. They're trying to split the atom, you know, the atom smasher.
Well, that's the accelerator.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of advances in nanotechnology.
That's got nothing to do with that's got nothing to do with a supposed God or a higher order of
No,
things.
it is. Because,
you were positing a higher order of
Jesus Christ, if he existed, said this 2 and more you will do, miracles of healing. And now we can heal blind people. We can walk on the moon. On the head of a pin, we can have 1,000 data of communication through nanotechnology. That was what has to do with what we're talking about. When you say, how has things changed? Things have dramatically changed within our own lifetime. Now, for thousands of years, literature has been based on moral codes, have been based on fidelity of a man and woman and the bloodline. Now, kids just say, oh, who's the father? I don't know. Go get a blood test. Go get a DNA testing. We've mapped the gene code. We've mapped DNA.
I had mine done. Have you had yours done?
No, but I'm just saying that fact that you can do it
well,
now.
The question I asked you is, do
is
you think
different. That creates, so I don't kill you because maybe you're unfaithful to my woman. I can just go get a blood test and check out whether my child's really my child.
Well, the first thing you can...
dynamics are different now.
Okay, good. So then a principle could be made. There is the possibility of what has been called, and there's a lot of philosophy and thought and a lot of identity getting by people within the human society about what is generally termed a higher order or God. Now, that's something...
I have a book called 2 comedies on God. I put God in quotation marks.
Yeah, okay, that's different than God being believed as an absolute guide to what's going on.
I would refrain from using the term God because that's sort of a nebulous thing that creates a lot of argument. Let us call it creator or some sort of higher awareness order of things upon which
the higher order,
there is a comprehensive knowledge of how to
we may be getting
create
to that.
Peace. And
why?
Harmony.
You got loaded language in favor of the good guys and all of that is there, but it's not really taking into account that these can all be understood within just regular intellectual understanding of what's going on.
No, because your mind is always going to play games with your ego, and if you use your intellect so much, you're going to suck your thumb in a circle jerk of continuous barbarous activity because all you want to do is satisfy your appetites instead of understanding the global or the universal intergalactic perspective of the continuation of various species on surface planet Earth and all the planetary systems as a continuation of life and existence. Are we going to exist or not?
Well, that's a question.
If we deplete our resources, we will suicide and self-destruct. We need to change to eco-friendly energy awareness and activity industry now. And we can. And guess what? We'll have more employment. We'll have a happier society. And the world will be a functional place going forward another 100 and 1,000 years.
Yeah, but the other question I had to you, for whatever it's worth, you started out trying to give some explanation of the ontology or the epistemology or the understanding of everything that you're coming up with and everything by essentially saying there's a higher order, a God.
Of course
and that's
there
something
is.
That is really coming into question, I think, in the modern world, and that we can understand it without any intervention of such thing as that, from the Big Bang right up to the present. We don't need to have some sort of external spiritual something or other that gives a higher order to things in which you can look down on the people that are just pure human beings.
If we really understood it all, as the Lakota people say, the Wanatonka, the great mystery, we would lose our poetry, our art. If we understood everything, everything would be understood. There'd be no mystery. There'd be no mistake. And maybe we're eventually going to evolve to that comprehensive awareness.
The universe is synergetic, and Mr. Fuller coined the term synergy. And he would give a talk to 1,000 people in an audience, and he would say, has anybody heard the word synergy? Nobody hands would go up. Everybody heard of energy. But these are scientific, educated people. Now everybody knows that it's the behavioral system's resonancy, something more than the sum of a maximally engaged system.
Right.
There's a resonancy that interaccommodates.
Well, like instead of 4 and 4 equals 8, 4 and 4 could equal 16.
Well, and rather more like
bounces into another paradigm.
No, it's the behavioral system's unpredictable. There's something resonating more than the sum of the parts of a max. Let's say, and you could project if you want, but this is within science. A maximally engaged system. We now understand how the evolutionary process began. There are some questions all along. We can understand it intellectually, and we can deal with it, and we get down. And I agree with you that we are coming to a point of really qualitative transformation.
We have.
But the wonder of it is, it didn't happen 10,000 years ago. It didn't happen 1,000 years ago. It didn't. 10,000 generations. And what we're essentially saying is, there's a change now
Yes.
In the evolutionary process of which we are a part, in the universe, beginning with the Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago, and the beginning of life 3.8 billion years ago, and that sort of thing, there is a change, and then the evolution of organic forms and everything gets up, and then we had Australopithecus, we had evolution of up the hominoid line, and then we have an evolution of our species that emerged out of Homo erectus 200,000 years
and
ago.
Many civilizations
and then, no, the
grew
civilizations
and fell.
didn't really come until about 190,000 years of our wandering in the wilderness, mostly living on carrion. Your picture of how wonderful it was living in nature doesn't comport with what most people understand. It was grim, and we were eaten by cats who were bigger than us. Okay,
It was
so
tough.
it's not a big, beautiful thing that nature
But
is.
change happens immediately because a spark starts the fire, and suddenly there's this new element growing from just a quick spark. You understand?
I'm trying to
You're
understand. I
saying
know about
that's
a
going
spark.
to take 2050 before we can evolve
that's
out
what-
of oil? That's
Yeah.
Obama's Exxon plan so that his kids
Yeah.
can have fun and they can
have
milk
the
all
image-
the money they can
Okay,
get.
no, have the image.
No,
have the image on your mind. It's going to happen if you have
It happens now.
Have the image of the interstate highway system in Los Angeles.
How about
Every car is running on petroleum,
Yeah,
on
and every
gasoline.
car,
That's
they're
not
stuck-
going
they're
to go
stuck
away.
in traffic.
That's not. No, okay, that's
it's
another.
a slow-moving highway?
Yeah, but you're not going to be
But
able
we
to
have
go
cars.
from.
I've seen things on the internet where like little helicopter cars and all got friendly energy cars and alternative vehicles.
But
and
you're-
we could have high-speed rail. We could be from here to
No.
Albany in 25 minutes.
They're doing it in China already.
Electromagnetic forces. We can build
Yeah.
high-speed rail. We could do all kinds of wonderful
Well,
clean
I know, but
energy things.
yeah, we couldn't have done
We
that.
have to.
Okay, we're born.
So what?
We're born.
How many billions more do these oil companies need?
Well, you're
If
just
they
making
get-
a case against bad guys or
No,
something.
no, no,
They're
not
nothing.
bad.
They're just people
I didn't
living
call
out
them
the
bad
thing.
guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying we have to evolve out of this old infrastructure
how are we
that's
going to
destroying
how are
us
we
and
going to
the
do
planet.
it living on these kind of stories like you're coming up with?
Well,
all
listen,
big,
all-
good
all-
guy, bad guy, good
No,
guy.
no,
It's
listen,
all one system.
no, the
you got to
gar-
have something that includes the bad guys.
No.
You got to have something that includes history. You can't just do it overnight.
No.
You have to have a system of gestation and growing. It's called punctuated
No,
equilibrium.
Gerald.
Well,
There's no good guy or bad guy. Everyone's a good guy.
Well, you see
There's a win-win situation. Mr. Bush is either with us or against us, and they want to
No,
pick
that's
two
a-
people.
that's
That
a-
is stupid.
No.
I want to be smart. Everyone's good, even Mr. Bloomberg and
Well, why are you-
Berlusconi. But just go on your yacht and leave us alone.
Well-
Go float off and play golf somewhere, Mr. Billionaire. We will run the planet without your Illuminati, Trilateral Commission nonsense and trying to run the company, run the country, run the world.
in the government of the United States and the
Yeah,
United
the
Nations
government of
and
the
all
United
these
States
things
is
that
the main
don't
culprit of
understand.
the problem.
Yeah, so,
The
okay.
IMF is the problem.
Oh, yeah, all of that,
The
yeah.
Interpol
All
and
those-
the great infrastructure Illuminati is the problem.
And you think you
because
can
they
do-
figure they want to have their royal yachts, and the immigration better not get their little cocaine.
And we haven't come up with a system to understand
We
it.
have come up with a solution.
No,
but
who has?
Mr. Fuzzler had the solution.
No, he's got-
Jesus Christ had the solution. Buddha had the
You couldn't
solution
have done it.
5,000
You
years
couldn't
ago.
have done it. Oh, well,
It's
then that's
called
different.
balance. Lao Tzu had it.
Okay,
You
okay.
either have balance
We're gonna go
or
back
you
into
don't
this-
have balance.
You're going to go back into the
I'm
spiritual
going
things.
into
A lot of people.
pranayama. I'm going
a
to
lot of people-
Ayurvedic medicines. I'm going to Shenyang of China.
Uh-huh.
And all throughout history,
Mm-hmm.
their society either works or it doesn't work.
No.
And what we got now
I'm not
is a
talking about a
dysfunctional society that's being
Okay.
strangled
Well-
by greed
Well,
instead of being shared by feeding and helping. I don't want to see homeless people and uneducated, unemployed people. Everyone can have a job. Everyone can do something. And we have the robotic control mechanisms of this nanotechnology and the wisdom and the intelligence and the wherewithal to create paradise on Earth. In
well,
fact,
that's a big thing. Now, my thing is I would agree with you that perhaps that is the case. But I do not think that has ever been the case.
well, exactly. That's why we're at
wait,
this
no, wait a minute.
fabulous
Stop,
time
stop,
of change
stop.
now, Harold.
So Buddha lived so many years ago. Jesus lived so many. It could not have been done in Jesus' time, materially.
They
it
should
could
have.
not have been able to do it.
Because man's ego won't allow it.
No,
they say, no, you can't be the king of the Jews or the king. He said, I don't want to be king. I render unto Caesar belongs to Caesar. It's like, I just want to live in peace and harmony.
That thing
I want people to have love.
That girdle you came in with, the building of civilizations in steel. You had to have steel. You had to learn to alloy steel. You had to get the Bessemer furnace. You had to get this. You had to get the automobile. You had to get the percussion. You had a whole bunch of stuff that had to do before something changed in terms that come to fruition now, which is never possible any time in history. That's the point.
All right, fine.
Now,
we don't have to have it. Those are toys for transportation.
But the
Instead of they're horseless carriages. We got new vehicles, transportation systems. We don't have to have cars, but we got cars. Whatever we've evolved and created is fine.
No.
And now the garages can keep working.
You think
but they can now change the carburetors to run 100 or 300 miles per gallon of gas. The people can still be employed. We're not changing and saying, we're going to change it all, and suddenly it's a whole new paradigm. It is a new paradigm.
No, it is evolutionarily new. If you're talking about something that has never been possible until now, not 100 years ago.
Okay. It's got to be possible at some time.
Yeah.
Either we're going to evolve or we're not. And like it or not, we're evolving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whatever we say here doesn't matter because the wheel of progress keeps turning.
You understand progress is not one way necessarily, and 99.999% of all species, have gone extinct in the evolutionary process.
Because of mankind's hubris.
Well, whatever. Not mankind's.
The lion, white man. The native people, the first people know how to work with nature.
No, the
white man has come here and genocided the native people, destroyed the nature, and continues to think that he has a right to do that, and he doesn't.
Mm. Okay. Well, you got. I did all kinds of work about the Aymara people in Bolivia, and I'm in touch with the Dacajoy and those guys.
The first people are the ones that are going to save us if we're going to be saved.
No, but you were getting down to where you could understand it, and to understand it, it's enough to say that you've got a situation where I think all of these systems that have inherited out of history have to be accommodated. And you have to accommodate those.
We don't have to.
Well,
I'm suggesting enough golf courses. We don't have to build more.
No, it would be. You don't want to have. You can't do a lot of these things you think you can do like that. It'd be just ungodly anarchy if you were to just fall apart everything. The automobiles are going to have to run for some time.
I'm not saying they shouldn't run. I'm just saying we're going to fix their carburetors to spark the piston on vapors instead of being gas guzzlers. We can run them on garden hoses with hydropower.
Well, they're going to
and if they're going to run on gas, fine. But they get at least 200 or 300 miles per gallon.
Okay.
And it can be done.
Well, okay. That's good. That kind of thing can be done. If you
and
can
we
do
get
it.
6 solar panels on top and run them. And every building that goes up could be a power plant.
So solar power.
So we just give a quarter to MTA instead of $3.
Why don't we get back to, if we can, we got this program. I asked you to come on the program in order to support Jerome Johnson.
Jerome
Johnson is a beautiful guy, and he is a beautiful guy, and that's what I was hoping we could do until we get off on this other stuff.
Well, no, I'm taking Jerome to the next level. Jerome was very clear when Carter was in power. He had the solar house, and he had solar panels, and was looking for alternative ways to heat his house with sardine cans and whatever. And
solar panels. He was a solar-powered pioneer.
And a genius.
And a pioneer in the time.
Exactly.
He was a pioneer. He should be celebrated.
His house was a laboratory.
Yeah, and his house was like a museum.
Fabulous.
And his issue that he has, pioneeringly leading in a thing like that, is the major issue that's going to be confronting mankind writ large, all over the world, in the time ahead. He's a pioneer in that issue.
All right.
So there should be support for him as a guiding
there is support
guy.
on my behalf.
No, but there's not enough.
Well, all right,
because
fine.
there are people who are giving him a hard time, and we ought to get the word out that he could be. We could be giving some support to him, and also recognition for the work that he's done. He's got a house full of stuff that is like a museum that ought to be preserved and everything. Don't you think?
I wrote a letter to the mayor in 2013, citing him as with a mayor. a citation and an educational laboratory for all the boroughs to visit on a field trip. And using his laboratory as an extended arm of ongoing experimentation that should be brought to the next level.
And to celebrate him as a pioneer.
Right.
Pioneer people
but
who start something
what's a pioneer is the beginner. He's an old guy.
No,
we're middle-aged, and then the future generations are the ones that are going forward. Incidentally, I'm having a party. This is aired on the 17th. I turned 60 on September 19th, and you're all invited. 140.
This is going to air on the 17th,
145th Street and Central Park by the river.
Wait a minute. This is 17th.
Hudson River.
The day
I got a permit. It cost me $25.
The day that this program is going to air, this
Thursday, next Saturday, the 19th.
That Saturday, not that day, not the 17th, but you're talking about the weekend?
The 19th. Yeah, on Saturday 19th. I'll be holding an open bring-your-own-bottle barbecue. Everyone's welcome all day long. And let's see the sunset of the river. At 1714 military time is the minute I was born. And that was the year when Catalonia fell.
What year?
55.
No,
I was born in 55.
What is your birthday? Is it the 17th or the 19th?
The 19th of September. 1955.
Is that your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh, and this is airing on the 17th, so you got time to let people know that you're having a big party on the 19th. Where?
I don't know how big it is.
Well, whatever. You're having a party.
It's just an open invitation. I will blow the conch in the 6 directions in the indigenous way to honor my minute of birth, but also when Barcelona, Catalonia fell in 1714, which is the same time I was born. And also when the Twin Towers, the World Trade Center complex fell on 1714. You know, that 5:15 to about within 10 seconds.
That's our number
the World
7.
Trade Center collapsed in its own footprint. And Larry Silverstein cashes out $7 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Well, 1714, Catalonia fell, the parliament to the monarchy.
Yeah, right.
At 1714, Frankie was born.
And
I represent freedom and justice for all. And that's why I was born.
Who was born? You
Frankie Craven, me.
Oh, Frankie.
At 514 in Lenox Hill Hospital in 1955 to witness the evolution of this planet coming out of quarantine.
Yeah, but where is your party going to be?
On 145th Street.
Wait a minute. Give it
the Hudson River.
This is the important information,
No,
not all that.
The important thing is that on September 18th in Kingston, Trends Magazine has the solutions to pollutions with Craig Roberts. Craig Roberts, Nita Renfrew likes him.
Oh, Nita's great.
He's very intelligent, and they work for the State Department.
And they're going to do something on the 18th where?
In Kingston.
In Kingston,
Trends
New York,
Magazine,
upstate.
And they're talking about solutions, and he'll give a presentation. I might talk. Also
in Kingston, upstate.
October 4th. At 14th and 8th Avenue, I'm doing an eco-friendly awareness building program. The Spanish American Benevolent Society above the Nacional restaurant has given me the green light on St. Francis, my saint's day, the blessing of the animals.
I really like the new Pope.
October 4th, we're going to have a party and a gathering from noon to midnight at above the Nacional restaurant on 14th and 8th. With all this eco-friendly awareness, saluting the Hierro, which is the last island at the end of the Canaries chain that's 100% self-sustainable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have solar, wind, they're completely 100 renewable. And also Aspen, Colorado has come out with it. And the governor of Hawaii now, the movement is on, Harold, to be 100% self-sustainable renewable energies instead of fossil fuel industry that is creating pollution and destroying Mother Earth. We need our oil, our carbon, our gases, our minerals. We can't destroy ourselves. We need to protect Mother Earth, and we are going to do that.
And the issue of global warming is a big issue that's going to emerge, is it not?
Well,
and we ought to support. We ought to support
headlines
Jerome.
of the New York Times last year, March 14, 2014. Panels warning on climate risk. Worst is yet to come. you know.
Yeah, it will. It will be.
The water's rising, like it or not. The Arctic is melted. There's Northwest Passage now.
I got stuck on Mount McKinley back in 1956, way up there in a blizzard.
I know the story. It's a wonderful one. God bless you for doing that. You kept water, next thing you know, it was
scary. Terrible. I walked up 4 days into the day, and then the rain came and sleet and hail out of the northeast.
The gales of the nor'easter.
I was reading Thoreau, Walden, and I sort of had to walk down.
You did your vision quest. 3 or 4 days in nature. That's what all Native people do. They sit still in one spot in nature until they get their vision. No food or water, and
I lived a year.
Find their
I
vision.
lived a year and a half among the Aymara people of Bolivia near Lake Titicaca, where the new guy, the president, Maurice
Evo
Morales is the Aymara, and they've been in bad shape ever since Pizarro. But he's emerging, and that's a 4th place around the world where there was a major change called the Neolithic. That was a food complex based upon the Papa and 12,500 feet in elevation, Lake Titicaca, very high. And it was there, and the other one was maize in Mexico. That was a source of creating a surplus for the food. A third one was rice in China, and a 4th one was wheat and barley in the West. So that was Europe and Mesopotamia and Greece and Egypt. And that was made possible the Neolithic and civilization and history. And now we're coming to the end of it. We're coming to the end of all that, and the thing would be nice if
it's
we
time
could
for a whole new program.
Yeah, but it'd be nice to be able to.
We got new DNA coming our way.
I know. I did my DNA, Frank. You can do it.
Wonderful.
You did. You put it on the cheek. Whoop! Your thing just fell down there.
Yeah, this painting. Never forget the pet goat.
Never forget you like
the pet goat.
The pet goat. Yeah.
That's what he was reading during the tragedy. While the criminal plane goes this way, the air defense goes that way.
I remember. It was really something.
All the schools were evacuated except where the photo op, so it looked like it was out of the loop. Where was security? Why didn't they whisk him out for national tragedy? They knew what was going on.
All right. Well, that could be.
Of course.
People who
they orchestrated the tragedy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things like that can be seen. Anyway,
it's not theory, it's reality.
I had my DNA done. You do the cheeks, Y chromosome in the male, and female is a mitochondria, and they can do it. And they related to me, as I understand it, to an individual that existed in the past somewhere in the earth, and they can do it with scientific, not some creation story or something like that. But and it was to a person that lived, I think it was 80,000 years ago in Abyssinia. And then Ethiopia. There was another one in Iraq.
So you're a black man with white skin.
We're all African. We all come out of Africa.
We all come out of Africa.
We are all African, yeah. And they're going to get it down. There was a couple $dollars to do it there. Now I think they're going to do it because this guy Spencer Wells is leading that. They wanted to just get it ubiquitous so they can understand the movement of Homo sapien species out of Africa. So it's all coming to a head now and everything, and it's interesting. I'm sorry we didn't get around to talking about why now.
Because Black Lives Matter, bro.
I know that's another issue. Anyway.
No, but the truth is the truth will prevail, the lies will fail, and we have to evolve.
Let's hope so. I'm sorry, one of the problems in television is you run out of time. We're out of time. We run right out of time. They're running the credits. So we have to bring this to a screeching halt.
Let us end with awareness that we do have the solution to pollution and economic salvation. And we have the answer to all the problems. And my program is What's Ailing Healing America, Friday nights at 9:30. Channel 34.
Good. Give a plug for your program. And we should support one and all Jerome Johnson.
God bless Jerome Johnson
pioneer
and the pioneering spirit he has.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all of us are pioneers. All of us must trailblaze a new path to make